One contentious issue has been about Parliament establishing a body to set media standards and ensure compliance to those standards. Article 34(5) demands that the body be free of control by government, political or commercial interests, and that body should also reflect all interests of society. The article does not envisage self-regulation, and so that's one portion of debate we think is futile. We believe that media editorial interests are sacrosanct, as envisaged by the Constitution. At the same time, the Constitution does not envisage that media commercial interests should unduly control this body we're talking about and the body that is in contention. Having said this, the President will address himself on how he thinks this should be managed when he sends his memorandum to Parliament. He will respond to the critical questions such as the appointment procedure for the Communications Authority of Kenya, vetting by the National Assembly, local content provisions, appointment procedure of the Communications and Multimedia Tribunal, disputes resolution, penal consequences for breach of code, which many of you have been making comments about, and the issues around the Universal Service Advisory Council. The next matter is that of the relationship between the Judiciary and Parliament. As you are aware, the National Assembly has asked the President to set a tribunal under Article 251(1) of the Constitution to establish to investigate the conduct of 6 members of the Judicial Service Commission. As you are also aware, the head of state and government is the protector of the Republic's sovereignty and the unifying symbol of the state and nation. In that role, therefore, the President has now convened a meeting with the House Speaker and the Chief Justice to find a resolution to that impasse. This decision is in line with the President's constitutional mandate of unifying the country and also ensuring a deliberative consensus-based approach to national problem solving. It is important that the executive acknowledges and enhances judicial independence. It is also important that it be acknowledged that the National Assembly, as part of the legislature, is a representative of the people and exerciser of Kenya's sovereignty. It is prudent, therefore, that in exercising Kenya's sovereignty, the National Assembly acts with a level of restraint, even as it fulfills its constitutional obligations. President Kenyatta will urge the Chief Justice and the House Speaker to embrace the need for restraint and a deliberative approach to problem solving at the meeting he has convened, which will take place, we look forward, before the week ends. The President believes that if institutions focus on the principles of governance from a purposive angle, most disagreements, such as those we see, and controversies would give room to consensus. Just in case you are contemplating a question to follow up on this one, I have no exact date and timing of that meeting. You will be advised when that happens. And secondly, I cannot tell you whether or not the President will set a tribunal, as that will be a key matter under discussion. The next item is the President's corruption website. Since the launch, the President's site has received 3 million hits. We have received 1,867 reports of alleged corruption. That's by midday today. And the official SMS number of 33000, that is 33000, has also contributed to the reports. Out of those, the President has handed 6 of them to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission for investigation and action. The reports will continuously be channeled through a system that culminates in law enforcement agencies having the final word and taking the action they require to take in order to deal with this vice. Several people have also booked appointments with various State House officials using the website, and we're delighted about that because it means that our goal of being reachable to every single Kenyan is being made. I would also like to make a brief comment on the UN Security Council in regard to the decision on the request for deferrals in terms of the ICC. Nothing massive to report on that. Like yourselves, we are looking to Friday when we understand the Security Council will vote on the subject of the deferral of the Kenyan cases. The Security Council is voting on a request that is supported by the entire African continent, and it is time to see whether the Security Council truly cares about the interests of Africans, considering that Africans have made this request as one. I would also like to make a brief remarks on the misuse of the president's name. It has come to the president's attention that all manner of people with all manner of intention have taken the art of name dropping to a new level. These people are using the president's name to demand favors, issue illegal orders, or even threats to officers in government departments and the private sector. The president has a simple message: please stop your racketeering or illegal adventures. The president wishes to state very clearly and categorically that he very well can and does speak for himself. He does not need and does not want to hear of people pitching tent in government departments and declaring that they represent his interests and wish to speak for him. When the president wishes to delegate, he has only one spokesperson who speaks in his name, and that spokesperson is speaking to you at this point. So please, 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 do not purport to issue orders on behalf of the president unless you are expressly authorized to do so. Do not make announcements about the president's diary when you are not in a position to confirm the contents of that diary, and do not commit the president to events when in fact you have neither consulted the president's office or indeed the president himself. Do not make suggestions about appointments or policy directives either. The president does not take that kindly, and will be dealing with these people fairly firmly in accordance with the set out procedures. On the question of regional infrastructure, the heads of government of Rwanda, Uganda, South Sudan and Kenya met on October 28, as most of you are aware, for their third summit to pursue their aggressive infrastructure development agenda. The latest key date in that program is the ground breaking of the standard gauge railway project in Mombasa on November 28. The leaders are in a hurry to progress on this transformative project and look forward to work beginning later this month. The only issue I think to address regards the position of Tanzania. Firstly, let me state that Kenya's bilateral relations with Tanzania are in good shape. There have been some voices calling for mediation between our leaders and the Tanzanian leaders, but the very crystal clear point is that there is no need for such mediation. There is no dispute to mediate. President Kenyatta held a one-on-one meeting with his Tanzanian counterpart, President Kikwete, in Johannesburg last week, over which they talked about these bilateral matters between our countries. And there was a follow-up meeting between Foreign Secretary, Ambassador Amina Mohamed, and the Tanzanian Foreign Minister, Bernard Membe. And Ambassador Mohamed reported back that that had been a very productive meeting, and we look forward to building on that. We laud Tanzania for its unequivocal support and commitment to the East African community, which we are equally committed to as a country. Many of you will be aware that discussions are underway to ensure closer collaboration between the East African community and the Intergovernment Authority on Development, IGAD, to ensure we are a solid Eastern and Horn of Africa bloc, speaking with one voice and servicing a formidable market. Kenya's goal has been and remains to facilitate free movement of people, goods, and services across our region. And I think you understand that that's the essence of regional integration. That's the president departing State House. On the NGO bill, we have no substantive comment to make at this point, as it's being handled by the legislative arm of government. When it is time, the president will pronounce himself, but let's make 2 points clear. One, that NGOs always seek a vigorous audit of funding available to government, political parties, and other groups, and it must really be obvious that similar stringent audit measures should be required of NGOs. Secondly, the type of regulation exists in other democracies, much hailed for their work, such as India, and this enhances greatly transparency in the NGO sector. So that's the only thing we want to say about that bill. On the status of the laptop per child program, a new tender for the supply of laptops has been issued. The tender was to be opened tomorrow. However, an addendum was added to 21st of November, so that makes it next week. The new issue appearing in today's papers is inviting bidders to bid for the tender, and when successfully completed, the winner should be able to supply the laptops during the first quarter of next year. E-content for the program is ready and should be input as soon as we have the laptops on ground. And meantime, training for teachers is ongoing, and we believe the project is on course. Lastly, I would like to make brief comments about energy, specifically in regard to the independent power producers. As you know, it's the aim of government to add 5,000 megawatts of energy to our grid in the next 36 months, adding to the 1,600 and just about we created in the last 50 years. Local and international firms have responded overwhelmingly to the expression of interest we issued recently through the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum for development of coal and natural gas-fired power plants. Evaluation of the submissions, which started on 29th of October, is now in its final stages. The 2 power plants will be developed under the public-private partnership arrangement using the IPP's framework, and we believe they will add quite a substantive amount of energy to the national grid. I thank you, and we'll take questions.
My name is Chris Thairo from K24. I have 2 questions for you. In the recent past, we've seen 2 senators from the URP saying that they would like some officials in government who they claim were used to that is to show witnesses what to do. Maybe what will be the stand of the government? And my second question is about the Westgate issue. What happened so far? Has the officers have finished clearing the rubble, and can the public be allowed to go there? Thank you.
Thank you. In regard to the senator, the senator obviously has the liberty to state whatever points he wishes to state. The senator understands that the government doesn't respond to senators through newspapers. The senator knows how to deal with that matter through the right channels. When he does so, he will get a response through those channels. In regard to Westgate, it's no longer a crime scene, I'm happy to say. The rubble has been cleared. It is safe to go back there. No additional bodies have been recovered. And we are in a position where we can say that people can go to Westgate and see what's there. The only thing to say is, if just anticipating a follow-up question might be that there being no remains, there is nothing to actually report there, but remains previously discovered are still undergoing anthropological forensic analysis to determine actual identities. And so we won't be able to say beyond that. Yeah. Any other questions?
My name is Ruth from Easy FM. Still on Westgate, what happened to the formation of the Commission of Inquiry?
Nothing happened to it. The President did not set a time frame for setting up that Commission of Inquiry. What is important in our minds is, first, that the forensic investigation be completed. When that is completed, then the President would be able to look at the Commission and determine the parameters he wants it to investigate. But setting up the Commission before completing the forensic investigation, I think would not be a prudent idea, and the President believes that. Yes.
My name is Francis Moraidi. I work for the Star newspaper. There are reports that some government officials have denied Deputy President William Ruto crucial documents which will have helped him at the ICC. Can you comment on that?
No, I can't comment, because when you say there are reports, there isn't any way you say what reports, where they're coming from, who's responsible for them. We can't, it's a substantive rumor at this point.
Thank you. My name is Frank Otieno from KTN. Mr. Manoah, can you kindly convince Kenyans that all is well between Kenya and Tanzania? Because we are very much aware that last week, President Kikwete was on air addressing his parliament, and he was very much annoyed, and he was using very harsh words about Kenya, that he was wondering why Kenya is sidelining Tanzania.
Well, I listened to the same broadcast as you did. I didn't hear the President mention Kenya, but I will respond to that question nevertheless. The important thing between us, Kenya, and Tanzania is that we do recognize that we have a strong bond. We do recognize that Tanzania is important to Kenya, and we do recognize that we have the intention to hold a prosperous business environment between our two peoples, and that Kenyans go into Tanzania and Tanzanians come into Kenya unhindered and unfettered. Our president, as I just mentioned, met President Kikwete for 2 hours in Johannesburg. They had very cordial discussions. They addressed what they may consider the issues between us, and I think we made progress. As a follow-up, our foreign minister went to Tanzania and met Foreign Minister Membe, I think that from a diplomatic perspective, that is the highest you're going to see in terms of leaders either enhancing their relationships or dealing with the issues that they think they face. I think if our people look out yonder and see that their presidents are talking, their ministers, in our case, secretaries are talking, their tradespeople are talking, the chambers of commerce and industry are talking, our business people are meeting. Beyond that, we don't need to convince our people. They can see, they understand, they know there are always blips here and there in relationships. Those ones are quickly fixed. If leaders are talking, we don't see a problem.
Thank you. I'm David Malinga from Bloomberg. Just two quick questions. One, are you in position to tell us the two companies that have been selected or awarded their first two tenders for energy development? And then secondly, on Westgate, when do you think government will release the final report from the investigations that are being carried out? Thanks.
The first one is that I can't tell you at this point, but I will be following that for you. If we have those two companies already selected, I'll let you know. The second one is that now that we've cleared the rubble of Westgate, it's just a little matter of dealing with the anthropological forensic analysis. Once that's done, I think we should have a report. We should be able to determine that in the coming days.
Wilson Mburu from KTN. Follow-up to the Westgate question. Is there a timeline as to when we expect the anthropological and forensic investigations to be completed?
No timeline. This is a multi-agency operation. You impose deadlines. You cause people to shortchange you in terms of the investigation itself. We want to know what happened. We want to know who these people are. We don't think that imposing a time frame helps us to achieve that goal. If there are no further questions, I thank you very much for your time and look forward to seeing you soon. Should you not be undermined by your deadline times, State House, we usually serve tea. We will serve tea. Thank you. Karibuni.